Good morning. Let's get back into this. So, what was I working on? Deegan, morning. Good morning. Vexus, hey. How are you? We're hopping back in. So, Vexus, I was looking at the, I looked quickly at the horses. Let's see if I can pull it up again. Where did it go? Now, I'm not sure it's just me spot checking. I looked at the Arabian horse. You have nothing in the shape for that points to the mane. So I don't know if like certain horses are having issues with the randoms, but I'll show you here. Shapes, entity, land. Okay, those two are the focus. Yeah, because I did a quick search just to try and see it. I'm like, oh, there's no mappings there. All right. So you said it was the border horse? Holy moly, the collapsed path. Look at that. That is a lot. Oh man. Whew. Whew. One thing you want to do, these parts, you want to take those out. That's another way to map a texture, but that's a static texture. Yeah, if you leave these blank, then it's going to look for the JSON, like what your mapping is for the JSON file itself, and just use that. You don't want stuff like that in there. Not sure if it's going to fix the problem, but yeah. I'll do that now. All right. And what I'm gonna work on, so I'm sitting there last night, right? I pushed out Alpha 2, and I'm like, you know, the gameplay loop is kinda coming together, right? I mean, glad for anything to add to it. Yeah, right? So I have an idea. I ran into a problem yesterday, we'll say. So these. Let me pull these out. So the Thaumic Foundry, right? You have, oh, interesting. I actually have all three different kinds of, it has the old transmutation on there too. I probably should remove that. I won't right now, but that's pretty funny. I may end up making a transmutation 3. Look at this beautiful magic. Yeah, right? Like this is all coming together. It's coming together pretty nicely. Yeah, not too shabby. A lot of spells are done too. I got spell schools in. You can attune to like different spell schools to become like an evocation mage or whatever. But I ran into a problem. This has a total of 10 charges, right? And you get your charges with transmutation. Here, let me get a wand. We'll use the bone wand. Right? So the idea is you cast transmutation, bam, right? And it's got 2 charges. So you charge these things up with transmutation. Now, this is a cap of 10. If you put these in, right, I increase the cap to 15 and then 20. Which is fine. I need another item that you can put in these slots that will increase the cap further. Need another item. Because 20 is we're kind of hitting the cap here with some of these. Some of these, like, it's like I think for this one right here, that's like 18 or 20 itself. right? So it's doing its job. I wanted the candles to be enough to like give you extra, you know, to deal with all this stuff. And then in here, right, when you break into these, then it's not really enough anymore. You're gonna find that you're casting transmutation a lot. So I was thinking, what could I do? And I think I came up with it. Love those candle additions. Yeah, right? Perhaps a slot in the middle where candles are. The slot in the middle is where the stuff comes out. Like it when you craft something, it falls out onto the middle. I do have other places that I could store things, but I'm thinking just swap out the candles with like whatever the next upgrade is. And then I can save the other things for maybe a different type of upgrade. But I'm thinking these guys, right? Maybe the ability to finally break these down into a new kind of resource. And then you can transform that resource into like some kind of sigil, or it could just be like you know, an ancient like artifact like core, or you know, whatever it is. And then you could put that core as the upgrades, and the core would add like maybe 15 per, or you know, something like that. So it's a substantial jump, because some of these are like 15 to 20 essence. And then that made me think, well, maybe I should think about a different way you can charge these things, right? Because the simple little bone wand of like, oh, 2 per charge, that's not really that great. So maybe I need to do something else with the wands, right? So like you have the Acacia wand. Oh, Vice, you handsome bastard, you. Look at what you did. 8 per charge with the better wand. Problem solved. You're getting a raise, buddy. Here you go. I can treat you to some life-giving ice water. I totally forgot I did that. That's awesome. That is really awesome. Oh, did I ever fix Serenity? Let me take a look here. Oh yeah, I did. I made it less particle-y, so you could see the. You know, I should probably make it even more so, like less particle-y. Oh come on, no, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. That's good. I was thinking the same thing. A gem of some kind. Yeah. Yeah, but I was thinking like another, like if I make another type of resource in here, it would actually, I think that would help with tier 3, right? Because this is pretty much tier 1. And the tiers now, they're like soft tiers, right? So this is pretty much tier 1 to get magic. And then with tier 2, it kind of builds off a lot of stuff with tier 1, right? Like to get these, right, you'll need one of these, right? To be able to, you know, use these tablets, you got to put them in your foundry. You know, this right here, this is going to be opening rifts. You know what I mean? Like attunement cores. Oh, these are all the old ones. But, you know, a bunch of things kind of open up, right? Making the magitrix and stuff like that, the lacrimas. Which the lacrimas, I made it to where you could throw them in here, and you can just infuse the essence into them, which is really awesome. The same with your attunement cores. The attunement cores, you do the same thing. So, like, I got tiers 1, tier 2, and then for tier 3, that one's kind of empty now. That one's kind of empty. And what I want that to be is the Chimerite, right? So it's going to be like the tier 3 scroll, the Chimerite, you know, tier 3 spells, things like that. But I need a way, like, I don't want to add another essence type, right? Because you already unlocked these 2, then you have all 3. I got to come up with something unique. That's my other problem. I got to come up with something unique to, like, that makes it to where you can't get Chimerite immediately, you know, going here. And then I was thinking maybe those cores, right? Like just to make it a little more complex. Yeah, Chimerite. So instead of like Arcanus 1, 2, and 3, basically you'll have your Arcanus, you're gonna have Ethereum, and then you're gonna have Chimerite. And I wanted Chimerite here to be kind of a blend of all three essence types. Yeah, you like those? They get better. So the way you fill them up, here, like, let me pull out a torch. This is how you get mana torches now, right? So you take like a regular torch, throw it in, and now you see how it's starting to wrap around. It slowly starts to like engulf it. So right now it's infusing essence into it, and it's gonna make a dark mana torch. And you can like right click on here and you can see like what your output is. Yeah, it sucks it in quick. Yeah, as soon as you throw it into the bounds of the box. So this is the new way of like infusing stuff. It's good. It's good stuff. Definitely good stuff. But yeah, and you could throw other items in. Like this right here is like an invalid item, and this is what it originally looks like. But when you attach it to different essence generators, I have it to where it does a texture swap, and then it's themed that way, right? So it's pretty neat system. These people, does it really work out for them to like spam? I don't know. But I could pretty much add this system to anything, right? If I want to. I could toss a sword in. Make a sword in the stone kind of look. Yeah, right? Great interaction. I had an idea for more crafting, but I'm not sure about a step to make Chimerite harder to get. Yeah, because like my thought is I want all three essence types, right? So ideally I think, oh, Essence Ash, that works. But as soon as you unlock both of these, you have access to all three Essence Ash types. Right, so I feel like, and then in here, so basically you'll make Astrolith first because this is the easier one, and then some of the harder stuff right here. But I mean, I introduced the Eldrathium bits in this tablet. See, I just need a bridge to like the next tablet, whatever that is. Right, you start off with Flint. And then by making these few things, right, you can make the magic chalk, you get this, you could clay form this and create it, attach those two things together. So these tablets here get you started. And then as soon as you get this, you could throw any stone into it, and then that's how you get enchanted stone now. Right? So then that opens up all the spell casting here, right? Like that's your sanctum, your actual magicians, your staff, your armor, grimoire, like the blank grimoire, right? Everything you need to make spells and jump into that. And then ideally you jump to the next tier, right? You get a better wand. You know, you kind of start transforming things, right? But I don't have a transition after here. But I have two stones still. I have Zeganite, which I've yet to incorporate, and then Abyssium, which I think sounds better, but I'm not sure what the fate of these two things are. I feel like I almost need to make another type of block, something like this, but it would accept all three, or some kind of like little hopper block that all three could attach to, and then maybe it's through a combination of that stuff that you get like Abyssium. Maybe. You know what I mean? But something where I could like gate it. You know, I could be like, oh yeah, all of this, but the hardest one to make in the tablet's gonna be this new furnace or whatever I make, right? And now you attach all three, and then you can get maybe the Abyssium, and that gives you the Chimerite. right? Because what I'm trying to do with all this stuff is I'm trying to make it to where things are not obsolete, right? You're still going to have a use for, you know, rustic compound. You're still going to have a use for, you know, like all this stuff, right? To some degree. You know, maybe the Arcanus isn't going to be as useful going forward, but that's like the only thing that would, you know, that's like locked into the tier. You know, but the neutral ash that you get and the mana torches and everything, you'll be using them a lot over here too. Some of the things require it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, it's like how do I have some kind of like soft milestone kind of blocker, right? That you have to, something that you have to do, and you have to be pretty far in to achieve tier 3 spellcasting. Toss a sword in so I can make, you know, and the funny thing, I could toss anything. I could make any kind of recipe here and then transform based on the essence into any item I want. It's actually a pretty cool crafting system. So I could do something where, like, you get a sword and you throw it in, and then maybe it's like a dark essence sword, or, you know, does additional damage. Zeganite sounds cool. Yeah, I had that name Zeganite back from my Minecraft modding days. Because I came up with my ore that you could get with the machine mod was called Zeganite. Is there a way to gatekeep it behind a tier of transmutation, or have I missed too much of the updating? Yeah, there's not really a way to do that anymore. Transmutation now, it's a little more lenient. Like, it's the better transmutations will, you know, like, add more charge to your Thaumic Foundry, and the AoE increases quite a bit. Actually now for transmutation, like, you see that orb right there? That's actually this is transmutation 1. It's not initially an AoE anymore, right? And then bam, you can hit that. And then for transmutation 2, right, that becomes the 3x3. Such a cool effect. I love it. Right, so I could do something like this, and it's just going to hit those middle ones, right? And then did you see the particles that spawn around it and then, like, drip down? That's the fun right there. Right, so I could do this. Yeah, see? So, and you notice I don't really have a Transmutation 3 yet. Because I wasn't sure if it's needed. Because I got rid of, like, magic tiers. There are no magic tiers anymore. Now it's really like how much mana you have. And your way to get there. So if you wanted to, you know, you could jump to here, right? Jump to here. And then, I mean, as it sits right now, right, you could just pick whatever sigil you want, put it down. So you could do, there are dedicated sigils now. So like the Purification will make the Light Essence, or the Celestial Prism. Sigil of Corruption will make your Devouring Voids, right? So everything's kind of easier now, right? So you can see that and be like, yeah, that's the pattern to make the Devouring Void, right? So that's kind of where things are turning here. And I'm setting it up this way, like right now it's pretty loose, because I'm thinking about one of two ways to allow you to progress. Either one's going to be a Thaumcraft research base, where you'll research and it's like, oh, I figured out how to make this. Oh, I figured out how to make this. I figured out how to make this, right? And then it becomes available to you. And the other way is more of a kind of like a Ars Magica, where you'll go to whatever the place is, like right-click, open it, and it brings up the menu. It would be similar to. Let me pull out my guidebook. My super outdated guidebook now. It would be similar to this, and then you would, by defeating like bosses and maybe some rare drops, or maybe something sold at the store, like at a merchant, you would be able to get skill points, and then you would be able to like unlock different things, like down a tree, kind of like how Ars Magica 2 does it. That's obviously not going to make it into this rewrite. This rewrite's going to be very kind of loosey, you know, a little loose, but... And I'm also trying to move away from things like this right here. You can't right-click on it. There's like no... You know, you could put things directly in. Like if I have a tablet here, the way you craft now is it's not really crafting grid stuff. You know, you would throw in like, oh yeah, I want to make, you know... Doesn't matter, here we go, a rift anchor, right? I can put the tablet in, the portal opens up, and now I can see, like, oh, that's what it takes. 2 rusty dust, 2 shifting fibers, right? That's not a problem. You know, in order to make this, right, it's gonna cost 1 charge. I have 2, but you know what? Let me cast transmutation here, right? I can add more charges, right? So I'm trying to give you ways to, like, use the magic as a tool now. Instead of being like, I'm just spamming the transmutation ball in the air till I'm out of mana. Alright, and then the way you would craft now, here, I'll show you here. So we'll get a bunch of this and a bunch of this, right? So as you throw things in, right, it sucks it up. If you throw the wrong thing in, see, I just got mana burned. Right? If I take off my protection here, yep, see, now I got rust sickness. So you gotta, I'm starting to put some danger in here too, like what it wants for the next ingredient, you really need to put in, right? But if you do that, see, an explosion, and then it dropped the item out. But you can keep crafting, which is awesome, right? So you could, like, mass craft here, right? There's another one. If you want to throw out a bunch, right? And then throw out a bunch. See, it made a lot, but it ran out of charge, right? So if I hit it with transmutation, oh, I'm out of mana because I've been mana burned so much. There we go. But see, like, because a lot of that stuff is still sitting there, I can come over and just start casting transmutation. And it's instantly using up all the charges, and I'm just making more and more of the item. Okay, we'll do transmutation 2. See? So I just made 12. So yeah, that's kind of how crafting is. Another big change is you'll notice that to change spells, I'm actually just holding sneak and scrolling. You can scroll through different spells with your wands and your staves. That's another big change. Here, we'll throw that chalk out. All right, so if I get this, I can just in the world, you know, get the Reap spell. If I want to run to Rust Orb, I could do that. You know, go to Rust Orb. Rust Orb is evocation. There's a new spell school. There's a general spell school that all mages can use. And then you have to get a cheap attunement core. They're a lot cheaper now. And put that on to be attuned to, you know, like an alteration, be like an alteration mage. And then by doing that, alteration spells become available to you. So you'll be able to use alteration spells and general spells. That's another change. Oh, rust sickness. All because of that stuff. Let me put my protection back on. Yoink. I love that. Love that. But, yeah. Do you like that? Yeah, the particle effects seem kind of strong, though, especially if on multiplayer. Well, the particle effects, it depends on how many particles are already there in the world. And they're brief. I mean, if people complain about it, like, I can pull it back a little, but too little looks kind of lame, too. But, you know, that's part of the feedback. People give me feedback, and I'll, you know, change things accordingly. And it's a lot better than throwing a projectile that you're trying to line up with things. Like now with a lot of the spells, you see exactly where that spell's gonna be. Like for instance, if I do spells here, let's put in what spell? There you go. We'll do like Arcane Surge. See, as you're casting, I can see where the, where it's going to be. So here, we'll put this like over here. Right? So bam, right? And then it spawns it, and this is an AoE, so it keeps pulsing. So any creatures that go inside of it will take damage. But you know what I mean? But there's like visual indicators now, where things are gonna go. And a lot of new spells, like each spell school, it's not 100% done, but it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Each one is gonna feel different, hopefully, if I've done it right. Biggest concern is potential lag if multiple people are casting at the same time. I wouldn't worry about that, because you may not know there are two types of particles. There are synchronous particles, and then there are asynchronous particles. All of my particles are asynchronous, which means that if you're looking at a fire, like you're looking at this, the client and the server do not need to know that particular particle right there is moving at that velocity and it's now shrinking, and everyone needs to render that the same, so the server needs to keep track of that. That's not how that works. Asynchronous means that it's spawning, it's got its randoms, it's got its random color. We're all seeing the same effect, but it's going to look different for each of us because the clients are doing the interpretation. All right, so something like this, you're perfectly fine, because it's all asynchronous particles. So I am not worried about the particles at all. And think about all the people that's got a bunch of torches around, like in their house. They don't lag because of those particles, because those torches also use asynchronous particles as well. So I'm not worried about the particles at all. And the particles are all short-lived too. See, like, I think these are some of the longest living particles that I have. Yep. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yep. And it's a lot better to do the particles than it is to do shaders for every little thing too. Like, when I become a little more ambitious, I would like to potentially transform things like here, we'll find the fireball spell here. There we go. So I would like to transform things like fireball from shaders to particles. Right? So that right there, that's going to take a lot, because I'm making this like come into existence, right? If I made a sphere of just certain types of particles, and then this type of particle just kind of like stays with the momentum, or it's very short-lived as it's going, it kind of looks like, right? And then you have other particles that live longer, maybe go backwards to make a tail. That's how I would like those like projectiles to eventually be, because that takes significantly less processing power. Phew. Although the shaders do look pretty cool, but I got to be careful with that. At least until this game is like optimized enough. You know what I mean? But yeah. So I want to come up with something for these. How would you break these down? So they're inert, right? You can add a rusty gear to them. Let's get a rusty gear. Alright, so if I add a rusty gear, bam, transforms. Someone could meditate on this. If it breaks, right? You get it back. How could you process this? What can I do? I mean, I could have it to where Essence could break it down. Right, so I could have it to where you come over here and you, like, throw it in. And then it could use so much Essence to, like, break it down into its, like, core. That would be easy. Obviously, you just use a pick to break it down. You can't do that, though. It's not that kind of block. If this wasn't the inert, if it was like one of the randomly generated ones, yeah, if you hit it with a pick, you break it, but that's like a different kind of loot pinata. So with these, if you break them, they just drop, you know, the block version of themselves, so you can place them. Yeah, see. So what I would need to do, I'm thinking, you know what? I'm thinking making a recipe like this. Have it to where it doesn't matter what essence type it takes, because this is supposed to be coming from, like, the primal rift anyways. Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm testing something. These do not stack more than one? Why didn't anyone tell me this? Wow. Okay. Well, people are about to be happy, I guess. Let's change that right now. The hell's that stack size? I will allow you to stack them up to 16. Why not? Why didn't anyone tell me? I thought you could stack these. Wait, did you not know that? They've always only stacked one? Figured it was just intended since you only ever need the one? No. For the inert ones, I want you to be able to store them away. I didn't know that. You gotta understand, Egan. I make these things and I'll, like, place them down. I don't ever have time to, like, fully playtest. I barely get to play this game because I'm always, like, reshaping this mod. So that's why I say, like, I rely on feedback, right? If someone thinks, like, hey, it shouldn't be like this, either I have a reason why I did it. Like, for instance, give you a great example. Crystallized memories. They do not stack, and that is because of the game itself. So if these stack, there's something special that goes on when you try to use this item, right? When you actually try to, like, consume it. The game has a lot of, like, desyncing that kind of goes on from the client and the server. So there are times when you'll eat one of these and it gives you the 5%. There are times when you eat one of these and it eats two of them, but it gives you only 5%. There are times when you'll eat one of these and it eats two and it gives you 10%, like it should. You go to eat one, sometimes it won't eat it, but it will still give you the 5%. It's all over the place as to what it actually does when you increase the stack size. But that's why I have to make it to where these stack with only one, because then I don't have to worry about the desync between the game understanding what stack size it is, right? But something like this, you're not really using it. This is a placeable block, so why not? Right? Maybe you could stack these to, like, you know what? I can maybe do 8. Right? 8 of each type, I think that would be plenty, because now I'm creating something where you break these down into a new core kind of essence. There, we'll do 8. You know what? Should I do 8 or 16? So correct, they do not stack unless you break down the greater superior jewelry, then you get 2 or 3 stack. Oh, really? You get... Oh, I wouldn't use them in a stack. I would not use them. Should it be 8 or 16? I'll allow you guys to pick. Should these be able to stack up to 8 or 16? Honestly, I don't care. As long as it's more than one. And remember, each one of these are, there are 16 versions of all 4 ancient artifacts. Not that it matters or not. 8 or 16. Hey Vice, put them as 16 just because you're nice. All right, everyone. I guess you guys just don't care. There we go, 16. Yeah, total of 64 variants, yep. On the multiplayer server I play on, I have each one and it's beautiful. I'm glad. There you go. So for now, for the inert ones, you'll be able to stack them up to 16. For each type. Whew, that was an easy fix. So easy. Now, wait. How should you break these down? Should it be a ritual? Should it be a ritual, or should it just be through the Arclight furnace? This is a tough one. This is tough. There you go. Let me make sure this worked here. Oops. Yep. Perfect. 16. Nom 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 nom. I guess I might as well keep these, right? So increasing that stack size actually helps, because you could throw all 16 directly in and then start processing them and take out all 16 if you want. So I mean, maybe it would work best being in here. See, now I'm thinking about, should this be a way to also get Eldrathian bits as well? Like, what am I really gonna be giving you when you throw this in, right? Should it just be processing, like breaking it down into whatever ancient artifact, like, you know, prismatic shard or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, whatever I decide to make this thing. Because, like, I would think the idea would be, when you're first starting off, you probably don't want to be breaking these with a pick if you're a mage, right? You're going to want to cast Transmutation on it, bring it home, pop a Temporal Gear in it, and then meditate on it, right? Maybe keep one, because a lot of people, you may want to decorate with it, right? But there's going to come a time when you start to collect a lot of these. And then you're going to want to break those down maybe into a material. I don't know. Now, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I'm like, maybe I don't want you to get a core from these, right? Like, maybe instead of a brand new resource, maybe I could turn it into, like, I don't know, we could transform it a different way to, like, get resources out of these. You know, recycle them. Yeah, as a tier 3 mage, I find them more valuable to be as a loot table. Yeah, once you've extracted the mana from them, right? Then they're pretty much like loot pinatas, right? They're treasure chests at that point. But I wanted another way to, like, you know, because all the ones that you get, like the inert ones, you know, I want you to have the choice. Break it with a pick and try and get some decent loot from it, or maybe a more refined way of like, okay, because non-mages can break it with a pick. You're a mage, right? Like, you turn this thing into an inert version of itself. You should be able to process it better than caveman break with pick to get resources, maybe resources that you need. You know, maybe more rare resources. Because I think for the pinata, right, you're basically getting, you have a chance of getting like one of the scrolls, a definite chance at getting enchanted stone, right? You get a lot of enchanted stone. I should probably look at the loot table for these. You know what? I do need to look at the loot table for these. Right, but I'm just envisioning like what's going to be valuable with the new rewrite. You know what I mean? Like how, I mean, could you use these as fuel? You know, put them into here and like burn them to get a bunch, but at the same time I just increased all of the amounts that you get for the obelisk, you know, per item. So I don't know. But there's got to be a better way. But yeah, I do need to look at that loot table because it's going to be probably sending out invalid items. Because it's the different Arcanus isn't there anymore. It's just the regular Arcanus now. So let's go into here, go to Ancient Artifacts. So I don't think it's anything in the block entity. I think it's going to be in the block. Man, I want sushi today. I'm getting sushi today. Alright, what's all this? So that's on being looked at. Here we go, on block broken, right? So that's rolling for the neck pieces. I need a way for you to break those down too. What about combining the variants of the same runes? So the first rune of the marker, monolith, pylon, and spire to be combined into a fifth variant? I mean, but what would that do? That would make a new block, but so you're talking about just throwing all four. But you know what? I gotta be careful with that. I don't have an easy way to potentially do that. So I'm moving away from grid crafting in this update. I'm trying to limit the grid crafting, and I'm limiting the GUIs that come up here. Like this one needed a GUI still. This needs a GUI just for the output. But like this one, this doesn't have a GUI. Basically, like the crafting recipes now are tablets. You'll put your tablet in, and then you can mass produce the item, right? And then instead of like opening up a GUI and then putting an item inside to like enhance it, right, you have your upgrade slots. And then you would get valid items and put your upgrade slots in. So combining four of the same thing together isn't easy to do, because if it was grid crafting, then sure, right? Like I could do that. But this isn't I'm trying not to do the grid crafting. So I have to come up with a magical way. So it's either going to be a tablet, but that's going to be 16 more tablets, right? Because I would need one for each type, right? Or it would be something like this, but this only processes one item at a time. Right, so then we're thinking of like another approach. Although, I mean, it would be cool to, like, you know, you got one of all the same, but how many people, like, how many people would get enough, you know what I mean, to get, like, all the same rune for like, all 4 of them? Because you're talking about, what, technically a 1 out of 64 chance to you know, get, like, the probability seems like it'd be low to combine them like that. It would be easier to, instead of doing it by rune, just doing it by, you know, like, maybe different runes but the same marker type, right? Combining those, that would be an easier thing to do. Because now you have, like, a 1 out of 4 chance each time you find one of these to have it be something that you could combine with. Right? Because what if you have 3 of these, right, that are all the same one, and you're just missing that one, but you've never discovered that one. Alright, so... That seems like... Actually, it would be more than 1 out of 64, right? It'd be 1 out of 256, right? To complete your set. Boop. Throw those all down. Save me some. Using your burning motivation to work more on our wyverns. Yeah. I'm definitely you know, Vexus, I want to take the wyvern and I want to put, like, the crystals on it, and I want to make, like, an elemental wyvern. I want to do it so bad, like a magic elemental wyvern that has, like, a particle trail as it flies through the air. Flame breath. Maybe it generates better essence. Well, to generate better essence, you have rune stones. There could be some serious latency in my stream. My ISP's been really crappy. Been really crappy the past couple days here. I've been having a lot of issues. Yeah, look at all these particles. Right? the game itself generates a lot of particles. Look at all these square leaves. Why is the wind always blowing in the same direction? Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, just spitballing. Yeah. So small ass, can we test the magic mod and our wyverns at the same time on a server? Yeah, we could. Yeah, why not, right? As long as both of them are, you know, built and put on the same server, yeah, we can test them both. It crashes, like, you know, it's like, well, what if one crashes? Well, you get the crash report, right? And you know which mod's the issue. I mean, the dragon gems, when changed colors, look pretty freaking magical, right? You could technically use those colors to implement that. Heck yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. Yeah, once I have, like, a solid gameplay loop, this is really what the last couple bits I have to do on the mod. I need a way to come up with Chimerite. I need some kind of way for you to branch into tier 3 spells in Chimerite. Really, it's just the Chimerite stone. Because once you get the stone, all the other recipes I have in will just work. You know, they'll just work. So I need that. I need to finish up a handful of spells. I think I need to finish up... It's actually very few. I need to finish up Healing Surge, Gift of the Mage, and the Rune of Explosion, and Summoner's Soul. I think those are the last 4 big spells that I need to actually have them do something, right? Like, they're not going to be the final versions of those spells, but they need to do something. Right? But that's low-hanging fruit. Really, it's the Chimerite, and then figuring out the expansion, like what the next item is that you'll put in to increase the cap. And then the guidebook. The stupid, dumb, stupid guidebook that I hate. I hate this guidebook. Ugh! Because you know what? You know what I'm going to have to do? All of these are going to have to be redone. Because this is not the flow of the mod anymore. All of this has to be redone. This one may not have to be rewritten as much. Though, you know what? There are going to be things that I need to rewrite, because things like the Rift Blooms, you could put them side by side now. You could plant them all side by side, densely pack them. You know what I mean? So it's like that wording that I'm going to have to like fix and correct. All of these guides, you know, they're all kind of different. I mean, this picture's going to have to change. That's not what transmutation is anymore. It's not a shader. You know, like it's just going to be going through all this stuff. That right there, yeah, that synthesis, that is a question mark book. Probably for a spell that doesn't exist anymore. After I did spell consolidation. That's not what that picture looks like anymore, right? That's not what the pedestal looks like anymore. You know, there are more things that happen now with synthesis. Now you got to be careful with synthesis. You could blow your ass up really easily. Make it unstable. Right? There's different, there's just so much I'm gonna have to rewrite. That's why I'm hoping people are playtesting it and telling me, like, what doesn't feel good, so I don't write up all the guides and then have to go back and rewrite up big sections of the guides because someone suggested I do something and it's a better way to do it, and then I make that change and now I gotta redo all the guide work that I did. Yeah, so Vexus, once I can get Chimerite in, and I find a way to like expand this max size here, I would say the mod, like I could open up a server because I wanted to anyways, you know, to test this, and then we can get together and do one last pass on the Wyvern mod, and then add those together too. Oh no! Boop. And it's gone. Yeah, I love that, yeah! Maybe that's what the combined obelisks do. Maybe any variant can be added to access the Chimerite. Yeah. But you know, I'm thinking of it like at first I thought like, yeah, that could be a good way to do it, right? Because I was thinking of you would refine these down and get like the, you know, the shard, the cores, whatever they'd be called. But you could pretty much get those as soon as you become a mage and be like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna cast transmutation. Hey, I got the inert thing. You know what I mean? Like you get those quick. You know, I just so this is where I'm missing it here. Right? Your stop to getting this and this, because you could clay form this right away. But you can't get this because you need the magic chalk, right? But to get that magic chalk, you know, you first need to create this. You need to create the appropriate tablet. Even if you went right to magic chalk, there you go. The magic chalk still requires rustic compound, and it requires the small rust crystal, right? So you're probably better off getting this to be able to get small rust crystals easily. And you'll need this tablet as well, and then a combination of those two things to be able to create that, right? So that's like a you know, a roadblock first, right? Because I don't want to open everything up to you immediately. People get overwhelmed and they're like, well, I got this and I can't use it for blah, you know what I mean? Right? So that's your first roadblock, and then you get this, right? Then you get rituals. Now you can do the ritual of world essence. Bam, you could create this. With that resonator, you could link those together, right? And now you're onto this for processing. right? So now you got to throw stone into here to get enchanted stone to even be able to get the new recipes, right? And then the first one's Arcanus, right? So yeah, so I'm looking for like a natural roadblock, right? So the idea is you're going to stick on here, you know, all the way through to get to at least unlock magic, right? You'll get your Oculus up and running, your Spellforge, right? You're going to make some grimoires, some basic grimoires. And then what I need to do is have it to where, like, if it's achievement based or something, then more of these rituals become available, right? After you get to a certain point. Now I can do the Ritual of Corruption, right? And I can unlock, you know, either one of these. You should probably do the light first, right? But now I could start, you know, using those to link up with this now, right? Now I can get the different essence type, right? And then I could take that dark essence and I could come back into here and then throw this tier scroll on. You know what I mean? So it expands. You never really move away from tier 1. You could keep going back to find more spells, right? But now, you know what I mean? But you had to get to a certain point with your roadblocks to be able to, like, create this, right? Or create this, the Rift Weaver, right? Because now at tier 2, you get these, you could start collapsing rifts down and getting rift charges, which is what a lot of this stuff is going to rely on for making, right? So that's another natural roadblock. You need to be able to create these, right? But to create these, you need a certain amount of mana to do it. So I removed away from a magic tier, and now it's more like mana based, right? To help you with progression as well. Right, then you kind of go into here, right? You're discovering new spells with this. Where is it? It's the Netherite tablet. There we go. This right here, right? So this is your next form of Arcanus, right? That's going to be the Ethereum. You know, and then the Ethereum kind of works like that's the primary component for all this. But see, immediately, going right into tier 2, I'll have access to the light and the dark essence types, right? So my first thought was Chimerite should be a combination of all 3. But I have all 3. I could have all 3 before I even napped my first tablet, really. You know, like because I would take the rustic compound from over here, right? And then throw it into one of the other furnaces that are attached to one of these, and then bam, I can start producing, you know, the new Essence Ash. So I can't use just that to get Chimerite. I need something naturally in this section here, right? Like another milestone kind of jump where it's like, oh, now that you're this far, you can convert things into blah. And the hard part is, so I have Zeganite, right? And I have Abyssium. The problem is, Astrolith, you get by throwing raw stone, right, directly on something that's attached to the light. This right here, this is your enchanted stone. This is the tier 1, right? Neutral Ash is what you get right off the bat. This is Netherite, right? I don't have any more essence types, nor should I have any more, right? Because I don't think I should have any more essence types at all. Why is my phone, like, buzzing a lot? Oh, this charging cable sucks. I'll just unplug it. It's like killing my battery more than it's charging it. Right, so how do you get those other stones? That's where I'm kind of running into a problem. Now, my first thought is, what if you just refine it further, right? What's to say I don't take, Oh, here, let me put this magic chalk back. There we go. Right, who's to say you can't take enchanted stone? right? And then you throw enchanted stone back into here, right? Oh, I actually started to do that, right? And now you can make Zeganite. But that's not really something that limits you, because as soon as you get enchanted stone, you could throw it back in and start making Zeganite, right? That you cannot use in tier 1. You know what I mean? Because then it's like, what? You're going to have Zeganite stones that you can nap, and then you'll have the Chimerite from that, right? So you'll skip this tier altogether if I do it that way. And if I do it that way, right, I would have to have something for, like, maybe Abyssium. That one's easy with the Netherite, right? You throw it back in and you can make Abyssium. But then I would have to make a third block that's more refined for the light. But what am I making those blocks for other than to just, like, build with? You know, what's that natural deterrent? And at first I'm like, Eldrathnium, right? Because you could make Eldrathnium starting here. Right? Oh yeah, that'd be great. I could make Eldrathnium tablets. I was being dumb, because it doesn't make sense that you could nap an Eldrathnium tablet if Eldrathnium is a metal and you make ingots out of it. Do you see what I mean with this? It's a hard thing to get right. I'll just go ChatGPT, do my guidebook for this mod. I think you're putting way too much faith in ChatGPT to be able to articulate itself in a way that other people will understand and be correct. Let me see if I was missing animations. What if Chimerite is a condensed and solidified version of all three? Like, you need Zeganite and or Abyssium to create another obelisk type block that condenses the essences into a solid state. So, and I mean, with Eldrathnium, you could just need a chisel to nap it. Unfortunately, you cannot do that, Deegan. The napping system is basically stone-based. If you put a chisel in your hand, I don't think you can... You can't differentiate, right? Like, I could chisel this with Zeganite, right? Well, not Zeganite. I should have done Enchanted Stone, because that... Right, so I could put this down, you know, we can make this, right? And then I could start napping it with Enchanted Stone. It's a very weird system that I'm trying to use to, like, separate. Now, what you were saying there, though, that is something that's what I was coming up with, right? With being like, yeah, what if I make another block like this, right? Where it would accept all three essence types in one? Or maybe you would have to put, like, all three types of essence ash in, and then it would convert that down into, like, a new final material. But I don't know if I want to use, like, just essence ash of each type, or if it should be a block and you have to link all three all three generators to it, and then you know, it uses some other item as, like, a catalyst. Hey, I got a primordial fragment. Nice. So this is kind of where I need to, like, I gotta come up with something that's not gonna be a lot of work, right? But I don't want it to feel like a roadblock per se, right? Like, it should... I just need a way to convert three things into one that's not grid crafting. And so far, what I have currently, like a tablet, that's not the way. Right? Because whatever this thing is needs to be the gateway into all the tier 3 tablets, right? Like, whatever this is, it's got to be the gateway into it. So that marks this right out. The only other thing I have are rituals, right? Because I could create another ritual that could convert something into something else. I think, yeah, if we go over here, I started to mess with rituals, and I made it to where you could use any ancient artifact in rituals. So like this would make the Ethereum. I actually need something in the middle of this, and then this should make the Chimerite. Now that I've decided on all three. Right, but I feel like it's a slippery slope using a ritual to like combine essence types, but I think having a ritual where maybe you combine 4 ancient artifacts and then maybe some Ethereum, you know what I mean? Things that you would need from tier 2 to create this new type of thing. This new type of whatever it is. Maybe that's how you would make Abyssium. You know what I mean? Like, but like, what would it make? It would make like another kind of furnace. But then that would be, you know, in opposition of this furnace. You know what I mean? Because then someone would be like, oh, well, why can't I just do everything in one, right? Why do I need the Arclight furnace for this? And for tier 3, I've been using this fine all along, right? So it's gotta be like a different crafting system. That could take maybe 3 items naturally to like convert, you know what I mean? But like what does that look like? I can't use a cauldron at all. Maybe another ritual that forces a rift open more and it drops Chimerite. But you can, in tier 1, you can do the Ritual of the Rust to open up rifts. Right? So, I mean, that's a good idea. And I actually had code in. The problem with that also is that it would pulse for every rift that's open in the server. So you could be getting Chimerite drops, you know, just like all over the place. Are we using pet AI to tame the Wyvern babies, or are we using the new taming system? No idea. There wasn't a taming system in the mod. Right, we were working on the animations and stuff, and then completing some of the AI tasks to give them. I think they still need a projectile attack, if I remember right. I think they have the melee attacks down. I'm not sure. I know Gerst is sticking with Pet AI, which is awesome. But I don't know, because I honestly I would prefer the new taming system in the game. But if I had to choose, just because I'm not, you know, to play this mod, you don't need another mod. You could just play with this mod, right? Yeah, new taming system is nice. Maybe 1.21, maybe it's taken some improvements and it works better, hopefully. But yeah, this is my biggest problem right now. How do you get whatever the next material is? You know what I mean? Like, how do you get it? How do you get it in a way that makes it feel like you're on the final leg of magic? Because I don't want to ruin the flow that I have here. Right? Like, you get the big crystals, you know, your farms never kind of get outdated. Right? Because you'll always need the rustic compound. It's rough. And then for like tier 3, right? It's like, well, I could have another wand type, but do I really need another wand type? Right? You can have like a basic transmutation, and then you have Serenity and the advanced form of transmutation. Kinda all you need. You know what? There, like, I don't necessarily need a third type of wand, right? And then I'm like Lunar and Soul Magic. I mean, whatever that, I would have to figure out how you get Chimerite to even start doing this. Right? I'd have to figure out like the summoning and pet system. I don't know if that should be maybe a little earlier on too. Like this right here feels like an offshoot, right? Just like how the staff does its thing. The wand has spells baked into it that are outside of the Grimoire system. I would say you'd get like a summoning staff. You know what I mean? And then it branches out into its own thing from there. Probably using some of the raw materials you get from here, like, you know, the Essence Ash and maybe some of the gemstones. Right? But then there's nothing else really that I had set for tier 3 other than the fact that I still kept tier 3 because of the spells. So what are the current last materials? Like at the same point you get access to large crystals? No, you get access to large crystals. Well, see, now you get access to large crystals. You could do it right away. It's just dangerous to do. And it's not worth... It's worth kind of doing, but it's also not. Because you can still take a large crystal. There we go. You could still take a large crystal, and there should be a recipe in here to be able to smash it with a hammer, right? To get a couple small crystals. Yeah, see? So it's like you could be safer, and you could just get the, you know, just get the small crystals and stay up, or you could burrow deep down and then get maybe a big crystal here and there, fight your way through. And then just use a hammer to break it into more, right? So again, right? It's fluid. It's kind of risk versus reward. Hold on, Essence Ash and Gemstones. Throw in some of the pylons and crystals, and add an orb tool, similar to wands, but it has more potent way to collapse a nearby rift. So you're thinking of like a whole new tool, like my old oh, what was it called? The Rift Stabilizer? I wonder... I think whatever this block is, if it's made out of Eldrathrium, I think that's going to be a bonus. All right, let me pull up something here for a visual aid. There we go, Botanical Matrix. Bam. We'll pretend this is whatever the Eldrathrium block is that you made, because I think Eldrathrium, that right there is, you're here, right? You could create the Eldrathrium with the tablet. You throw that tablet into here, right? Throw in the reagents, bam, you got this new metal. You create whatever this is. Let me take a look at something here. Hold on. How complex do I want things to be? So this probably isn't, it's not a good idea in its current form, but what if you take the furnace and then you make an out of Eldrathrium. You make... I create like an attachment point here, kind of like the candles, right? But it's some kind of Eldrathrium thing that changes the nature of this to be able to accept all 3 essence types. But you know what? I don't want to go that route. I would prefer to use the Essence Ash. Right? Some way to combine the Essence Ash. You got 3 of them, right? And then to combine them into one new catalyst item. Ooh. I mean, so let's see. Eldrathrium, right? So let's just get an Eldrathrium block here. I could make something where you throw Essence Ash into it. No. Damn it. It would be really nice if I could keep the theme of you break into like Zeganite or Abyssium, right? One of these. Right? You do something, right? With the Netherite, you do something and then you get, right? A hunk of Abyssium, we'll just say, right? Bam. That's my new material, my tier 3 material. I can nap that into, you know, whatever I'm gonna do, right? I got the new tablets. This new way of getting this Abyssium. If I had the crafting grid thing, right, it'd be like, well, take Enchanted Stone. And then wrap Enchanted Stone up with light and dark essence, right, since it already has neutral in it. Bam, right? And it creates whatever it is. It's like this close. You know what I mean? I was thinking like a magic focus, like a staff or a wand has a completely set abilities or effects just for making these final items. If I were to make like another extension onto this, it would house a better transmutation, maybe a more wide effect of Serenity and whatever the third item would be, whatever the third spell. And then at that point, it would be like you would need a minimum of like maybe 150 mana to do the meditation creation, item creation. Mana infusion is what I call it. And then you could do a mana infusion maybe with Eldrathrium for it. But then you wouldn't have all of the wand variants then. Right, because this is a regular stick, this is a bone wand, because bone's kind of easy to get too. And then the higher up requires wood planks, right? So you have every type of wood available, so you could pick and choose. And I want to break this down further, and maybe make it to where like the more rare woods, like the ebony, the purple heart, the walnut, maybe they would have more durability and maybe like less mana cost for like the embedded spells, or you know what I mean? Or maybe like with the theme of like you do something with essence. Uh-oh, connecting to chat. Did my stream just die? Welcome to the chat room. I think Twitch just had a heart attack. Hope it's okay. Right, because man, I would like to have Zeganite and Abyssium. I would really like to have these as blocks. Oh, you lost audio? I don't know. Can you hear me? Did the stream just die? It says I'm still live. I can see my microphone. Maybe do a refresh? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, do I just restart the stream?